Most gardeners in Florida give up on carrots after one try, usually because they plant them at the wrong time, in the wrong soil, or both. But when you get the timing and texture right, carrots don't just grow here, they thrive. This is one crop that loves our so-called winter. While everyone else up north is scraping ice off their cars, Zone 9 gardeners are pulling up crisp orange roots from soft, sandy soil. Growing carrots here isn't about luck. It's about knowing the rhythm of our seasons and preparing the soil so those roots can stretch straight down instead of splitting in every direction. Once you dial that in, you'll wonder why anyone ever said carrots were hard to grow in Florida. Carrots are one of the easiest cool season vegetables you can grow in Zone 9. Once you understand what they really need. They thrive in mild weather, loose soil, and steady moisture. Their seeds are tiny and slow to sprout, but once they do, the flavor beats anything from the store, sweet, crisp, and earthy. You can grow orange, purple, yellow, or white carrots, and they'll all do great through our mild winter. Raised beds make the job easier too. I use Vigo garden beds because their deep, fluffy soil keeps my roots straight and smooth. Let's start with why carrots actually love our Zone 9 climate. Florida's mild winters give carrots exactly what they want. Cool days, gentle sunshine, and soil that never freezes. Carrots grow best when the air stays in the 60s or 70s and the nights dip a little cooler. That swing between day and night temperature helps the roots build sugars, turning them from bland to sweet. If you've ever tasted a homegrown carrot after a light cold snap, you know the difference. It's like a vegetable and dessert rolled into one. Zone 9 gardeners are lucky because we get a long stretch of this perfect weather. From late fall through early spring, the soil stays just right for steady root growth. That gives carrots time to fill out instead of bolting early, which is a problem in warmer zones farther south. By starting them from September through March and keeping the beds slightly moist, you'll have fresh roots ready by the time the new year rolls around, and you can keep planting every few weeks to stay stocked until spring. Carrots also fit perfectly into Florida's crop rotation cycle. When your summer beds of tomatoes, peppers, and okra start to fade, you can pull them up, loosen the soil, and slide right into carrot season. They make excellent use of that downtime while the rest of the country is frozen solid. Because they grow straight down, they don't need much surface space either. A narrow row or a small raised bed can produce a surprising harvest if you plant densely and thin correctly later. For small-scale gardeners, that's a big win. You can tuck carrots between other cool season crops like lettuce or spinach, or dedicate a full bed to nothing but rows of orange and purple roots. They're tidy, they don't attract many pests, and they're fun to harvest, especially for kids who love pulling them out of the ground. Nutritionally, carrots are loaded with beta-carotene, vitamin A, and fiber, making them one of the healthiest vegetables you can grow for the effort involved. And since they store well in the fridge, a single planting can feed you for weeks. Here in Zone 9, where winter never truly bites, carrots don't just survive, they hit their stride. Our cool season is their golden season. Not every carrot is built for Florida. Some of the long, store-type carrots need 2 feet of soft soil to grow straight, and that just doesn't happen in most backyards. Our sandy soil can be shallow in places and full of roots or shells in others. So choosing the right variety makes all the difference between a basket of perfect roots and a pile of twisted ones. If your soil is deep, loose, and rock-free, Or you're working with a tall raised bed? You can try the classic Imperator type. These are the long, tapered carrots that grocery stores love. They grow smooth and elegant when the soil stays moist and unobstructed. But for most Florida gardens, shorter shapes perform better. Danvers, Nance, and Chantenay types are the go-to choices. They're thick, blunt, and forgiving, which means they still size up beautifully, even if your soil isn't perfect. The Nance group tends to have tender texture and sweet flavor, ideal for fresh eating and juicing. Danvers carrots are a little more rugged. They tolerate heavier soil, handle inconsistent moisture, and still come out crisp. Chantenay carrots are short and conical, great for rocky or compacted spots where long roots would fork or split. Because they mature quickly, they're also handy for succession planting. Sow a new batch every few weeks, and you'll keep pulling fresh carrots all winter. Don't overlook the colorful ones either. Purple and yellow varieties aren't just novelty items. They're rich in antioxidants and look amazing, sliced into salads or roasted whole. Purple haze, cosmic purple, and yellow bunch all handle Florida's cool season beautifully. These so-called rainbow carrots prove that variety isn't just about flavor. It's also about fun. Container gardeners can even grow mini carrots, sometimes called radish-style types. These stay small and round, perfect for shallow pots or balcony setups where space is tight. As long as the soil is loose and drains well, they'll thrive. Whatever type you choose, remember that soil texture matters as much as seed variety. Even the best genetics can't grow straight in lumpy or crusted soil. The key is to match your carrot to your growing conditions, short and sturdy for average beds, long and sleek for the deepest, softest soil you can give them. Get that pairing right, and Florida's winter garden will reward you with some of the sweetest roots you've ever tasted. If there's one thing that makes or breaks a carrot crop in Zone 9, it's the soil. Carrots are underground perfectionists. They'll only grow straight and smooth if the soil is loose, deep, and free of obstacles. Anything that blocks or compacts their path, rocks, shells, old roots, will send them off in strange directions. You'll still get carrots, but they'll be forked, twisted, and harder to peel. Start by loosening the top foot of soil. A garden fork works better than a shovel because it breaks clumps instead of turning the layers. Go slow, lift, and fluff. If you hit a chunk of debris, pull it out. Think of the bed like a carrot runway. It needs to be clear and soft all the way down. In native Florida sand, you might not need much tilling, but you'll definitely need organic matter. Pure sand drains too fast and can leave roots stringy or bitter. Mix in compost to hold moisture and improve texture. If your soil is heavy or has clay pockets, blend in a bit of coarse sand or pine bark. Fines to open it up. Raised beds make this step easier. You control the mix and depth from the start, and the soil stays loose year after year. Aim for at least a foot of depth, though more never hurts. I like a light blend of compost, peat, and clean sand that feels springy under the trowel. When you squeeze a handful, it should stick together slightly, then crumble apart. That's carrot paradise. Avoid adding fresh manure or rich, hot compost right before planting. Those release too much nitrogen, which makes thick tops but skinny roots. If you need fertility, use mature compost or a mild organic mix and blend it evenly. Carrots grow best in soil that feeds steadily, not explosively. Before seeding, level the surface and water it well. Let it settle for a day so the fine particles fill any air pockets. Then you'll have the perfect canvas for your rows. Getting the soil right takes more effort than planting the seeds, but it's effort you only make once. Do this part well, and the rest of the season is simple. The reward is a bed full of flawless, straight carrots that look like they came from a market stall, but they came from your backyard. Once your soil is loose and ready, it's time to plant. But this is where most people slip up. Carrot seeds are tiny, slow to sprout, and easy to bury too deep. Think of them as surface sleepers. They only need to be tucked about a quarter-inch below the soil, barely covered at all. Too deep and they'll vanish. The easiest way to get an even planting is to press the handle of a hoe or rake gently into the soil to make a shallow groove. That gives you a straight, consistent trench where seeds can rest. Sprinkle the seeds thinly. You'll be tempted to overdo it, but remember that every seed has a shot at life. If you drop too many, thinning later becomes tedious. Cover them with a light dusting of soil and water gently, just enough to moisten the surface without washing them away. Carrot germination is slow. In warm Florida weather, it can still take 2 weeks or more before you see the first green threads. During that time, the soil must stay evenly moist. The top layer should never dry out completely, or the seeds will stop developing. Mist lightly once or twice a day if the air is dry, or use a soft sprinkler head that won't disturb the surface. Some gardeners lay a thin board or piece of burlap over the row to trap moisture. Just lift it daily to check for sprouts. Once the seedlings are about an inch tall, thin them out to leave roughly 1 to 3 inches of space between plants, depending on the variety. This part feels cruel, but it's crucial. Crowded carrots stay stunted and twisted. Snip the extras with scissors instead of pulling them so you don't disturb the ones that stay. If you want a steady supply of carrots through winter, stagger your plantings. Sow a fresh row every 2 or 3 weeks until early spring. That way, while one batch is maturing, the next is just getting started. Some gardeners mix in radish seeds with their carrots because radishes sprout quickly and mark the row. By the time the carrots need more room, the radishes are ready to harvest. It's a clever trick, but don't rely on it completely. The best results come from rows dedicated entirely to carrots, spaced right and watered consistently. Get this stage right, and you'll soon have a bed full of tidy green tops hiding sweet roots below. Once your carrot seedlings are up and thinned, the rest of the job is keeping their environment steady. Carrots love consistency. They don't want heavy fertilizer, they don't want dry spells, and they definitely don't like soggy feet. Your goal from now until harvest is to keep the soil evenly moist and loose so those roots can swell straight down without cracking. Sunlight matters too. Aim for 8 hours a day if you can, but carrots will tolerate a bit of afternoon shade, especially in raised beds where the soil warms faster. In Florida's mild winters, they'll grow fine in partial sun, as long as they aren't shaded by taller crops that steal light completely. The lacy tops don't have to be huge to make healthy roots, but they do need consistent exposure. Watering is where many Florida gardeners go wrong. Early on, frequent light watering keeps the top layer moist for the shallow root tips. As the plants grow, you can back off a little and give them a deeper soak once or twice a week. What you don't want is a cycle of drought followed by heavy watering. That's what causes roots to split. Schedule irrigation so the soil never swings from bone, dry to drenched. If you're using a raised bed, moisture retention is better, but it can still dry out faster on windy days, so check often. Thinning should be finished by the time each carrot has a full inch of space all around it. Once they start crowding, they'll compete underground, producing small, tangled roots. If you missed some, you can still pull the extras early and use them as baby carrots. Keep the bed weed-free. Carrot seedlings are delicate, and weeds steal the moisture and nutrients they need. Hand pull carefully or snip weeds at the surface to avoid disturbing the roots, Watch for pest and disease problems, though most seasons you won't have many. Root knot nematodes can distort roots, so rotate crops every year and don't plant carrots in the same spot twice in a row. Alternaria leaf spot can hit when the foliage stays wet too long, so water in the morning and let the sun dry the tops. With steady watering, clean soil, and bright light, your carrots will bulk up quietly beneath the surface. No special tricks, no complicated feeding schedule, just consistency. That's what makes Florida's cool season the easiest carrot season you'll ever grow. By the time your carrots have been growing for 2 to 3 months, the tops will look full and feathery, and a quick peek at the soil line will tell you what's happening below. You'll start to see the shoulders of the roots pushing up, little crowns of orange, yellow, or purple peeking through the surface. That's your cue that harvest time is near. Carrots are usually ready somewhere between 70 and 120 days after planting, depending on the variety and weather. Shorter types like Chantenay and Nantes mature first, while long Imperator types take their time. The easiest way to check is to gently brush the soil from around a few crowns and judge the diameter. When they're about as thick as your thumb, they're ready to pull. Don't just yank, though. A quick tug on a dry day can snap the root in half. Instead, water the bed lightly the evening before harvest or wait until after a rain. Moist soil loosens easier and lets you lift the roots cleanly. Slide in a garden fork or trowel next to each row. Tip the soil upward and pull gently by the greens. The carrots should come out whole, their skin smooth and bright. If you want extra tender baby carrots, harvest them early and let the rest size up. Leaving them too long won't make them bigger. It'll make them woody and bland. Once a carrot hits maturity, the flavor peaks and then declines, so pick them promptly for the best taste. After harvesting, twist off the greens about an inch above the crown. If you leave the tops on, they'll keep drawing moisture from the root and make it limp. Brush off loose soil, but don't wash until you're ready to store. Damp carrots in a plastic bag will rot fast in Florida's humidity. Dry ones will keep for several weeks in the refrigerator, especially if you seal them in a perforated bag that holds a bit of moisture but allows airflow. For longer storage, you can blanch and freeze sliced carrots, or keep them in damp sand inside a covered bin in a cool spot. Either way, you'll have crisp, sweet roots long after the bed is cleared, and if you're curious, leave 1 or 2 in the ground. Carrots are biennials. Next season, they'll send up tall white flowers you can let seed for your next planting. If you've never grown carrots in Florida, this season is the time to start. They love our mild winters, and once you taste a homegrown one, you'll never look at store-bought the same way again. They're sweet, crisp, and so easy once you get the hang of the soil and watering rhythm. If you learned something today, or if you're planning to try carrots in your own garden, hit that subscribe button and join me here on Ground Truth Gardening. Every week we dig into what actually works in Zone 9, without the fluff or the frustration. Subscribing helps the channel grow, and it also keeps you from missing the next crop guide when it drops. For anyone setting up new raised beds, I'll leave a link in the description for the ones I use from Vago Garden. Their deep metal beds make root crops like carrots a whole lot easier to grow straight and clean. Thanks for watching, and until next time, may your soil stay loose, your roots stay sweet, and your harvest baskets stay full.